All right, so today's question of the day comes from future sailor Capitulo, and he asks tips for studying the START guide. All right, so 3 things real quick. Number 1, now there are many different study styles, okay? So you have to find what works for you. What works for me might not necessarily work for you, all right? And what works for you, it might not necessarily work for me. So you have to research and experiment and try out many different study styles, whether it's maybe studying 15 minutes a day, maybe it's 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes in an increment. You do 30 minutes studying and then you break for 30 minutes and then you study 30 minutes again. So there's many different study styles that you need to try. All right, so number 2, let me share with you what works for me, okay, and some of the things that I personally recommend. So I recommend using note cards, because when you are studying the 11 general orders, you are going to be naturally try to memorize it in order, right? But when they ask you in questions, hey, what's your 5th general order? What's your 6th general order? What's your 7th general order? What's your 3rd general order? You have to kind of be able to know on the spot what it is, instead of trying to process from start to finish and then getting the answer, right? So second thing is what works for me is after I eat. When I was in personally A school, to give you an example, after I eat lunch, I would go back to my room and then I would be in silence for 30 minutes. And that was the power session where I looked at my note cards, and that was the time that I could focus the most during the lunchtime. Some people might be able to focus the best during midnight. I know personally my friend, he graduated number 1 in the class. He would study up until 3 a.m. and that worked for him, right? But what works for me is after lunch, go in my room in silence and study for 30 minutes, and that was it. Any more, I would get tired and I didn't want to study anymore, and that worked for me. So find out what works for you. That's what personally worked for me. Being able to study during lunchtime works for me the best. All right. And another thing, the last thing, is study in groups. As to my personal tips, study in groups. So, being able to quiz each other, maybe seeing how they study, what are their study material, and see if that is of value to you. All right. So last thing that I'm going to leave you with is all these tips, right? Being able to find your study habit, study style is very important, because not only is it important for the START guide for you to take the depth test, it's also important for you when you're in boot camp, and also important for you when you are in A school, right? So make sure you find your study style. Make sure you find out what works for you, right? Try out many different things, because what you don't want to do is you want to aim for the number 1, and then you go to A school, you go to boot camp, and you're trying to scramble and you're trying to study your best, but nothing is working for you, right? And you feel frustrated. It's because that study style is not the way that works for you, and you have to do and implement what works for you so you can retain the knowledge as to the best of your ability. All right, so thanks for watching. If you have any quick questions, like yes or no questions, leave it in the comment section below. If you have any long questions where you want me to elaborate, put it on Monday's video on Ask Yoon. And thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great Navy day.